Mary, thank you so much. And you can see why this has just been, this is my go-to person on a lot of different things. And your resume is outstanding. I've been able to watch your progress over the last decade, and I'm very proud of you. Next up, Charlie Vargas. Charlie is a Mastermind Connect member. He is a criminal law attorney, but I will let you do more than that, but I will let you explain. So just please introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, everyone, and I'm honored to be here. Looking forward to hearing from every other guest that's on this panel. I am an attorney that represents people that are accused of crimes, not a criminal attorney. I appreciate that.
Good. Put you there.
I also.
So you don't represent Trump.
No, I do not represent Trump. But so I have my own law firm in New York City. I'm a New York native, born and raised in Harlem. Went to school in the Bronx. Went to college in Buffalo. Went to law school in Queens. And I always wanted to do criminal defense. I ended up doing that. Opened up my own law firm back in 2014. I've been doing my thing ever since. Aside from the criminal defense, I also sue the city or other entities in civil rights, civil rights injustices that are related to criminal cases. I also teach at the University of Rutgers in New Jersey. I teach college courses. I'm also, through their program, through their NJ STEP program, I also teach incarcerated persons in various correctional facilities in New Jersey. And I teach them college credit courses so that they can be eligible to receive or continue to receive a college education upon release. I'm also an investor at a core cannabis company in Massachusetts. I'm all for legalizing marijuana, but more specifically, I'm all for making sure that people of color, people that come from communities that have been affected by marijuana laws in the past, are able to recoup some of the harshness because of these laws, and able to provide for their families through the marijuana industry. So I'm really big on that. We're waiting for one of the 3 dispensaries to open up in Boston. And, as some of you may know, marijuana is legal in the state of Massachusetts. I also, I got into the real estate game a little early. After college, I own multiple properties, like 3 properties, and I'm managing them at this point. I've always been someone that has been kind of like a little all over the place. I think because of the current situation, the current crisis that we find ourselves in, I've been fortunate enough to look at many different ways on how to maintain myself financially, mentally, throughout this crisis. I'm very fortunate again to be here. I'm blessed, and I look forward to get the conversation going.
All right. Yes, unmuted again. Thank you so much, Charlie, and sorry so much for butchering a title you worked so hard to obtain. Next up, we have Jey Van-Sharp of My Uber Life. Jey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, sir. I see you and I hear you.
Okay. I'm Jey.
Sorry, you missed the first half of what I said.
Okay.
So I said your name and I said your company name.
Yeah.
So please just let the people know that are on the line who you are and your expertise.
I'm Jey Van-Sharp. I'm a citizen of Venezuela, and I migrated to America when I was a teenager. And the reason why I bring that up is because I've seen countries go into crisis before, and I've seen economies collapse. So I think I have a lot of insight that I can share from my experience with that. I'm a hustler. Second thing I want to say is that I've always talked about money. Money's always been the conversation for me. Some of you guys know me for over 10 plus years. I talk about money every single day. I think money is important. I talk about social currency every day. I think people are important. I think community important. And the thing I talk about the most is mindset. Very specifically, I build companies. I advise companies. If you know me and you had an idea, I will sit down and talk to anyone about their idea. If you know me and you have a company, I will talk to you about it. If you work in a corporation and you know me, that's what I like. I like to build things. I like to help things grow. And I'll leave it right there, Mike. I think when it comes to understanding what income is, what money is, what value is, what diversity is, what income diversity is, what profit is, what net income is versus gross revenue is, what being lit is really, and pretending to be lit is. I think all these things that we can talk about. So let's get the people what they want, Michael. Let's share some information.
Right. And I kind of want to stay with that. Thank you so much, Jay. I kind of want to stay with that. We are in the new world. This is a fact. A lot of information that I have seen you sharing on your Instagram page
all the time. All the time. Yeah.
Super helpful. And you've been doing this even before this crisis happened. A lot of people are concerned with their personal finance. And Jay, I want to stick with you.
Okay.
We've already let the panic set in. How can the American citizen right now adjust their mindsets to see opportunity in chaos? Like you said, you've seen societies collapse before and rebuild.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Where does our mindset need to be right now?
Well, you have to get back to the foundation, to the roots. I think the first thing you have to say is live within your means. I think America is going to see what the third world has been experiencing, forever. And people of color or anyone has been disenfranchised, anyone has, left the blanket of security, quote unquote, whatever that means. So the first thing I would say is live within your means. And I mean that more metaphysically and just more pragmatically. Like, you shouldn't be eating out, right now. You should be eating in and Mary you could talk about health and immune system. You should be eating inside now. If you look on my shoulder here, it's all vitamins on that table. That's like $1,000 worth of vitamins. Health is wealth right now. Eating at home, making sure that your network of people around you are hustling, or sharing, or building community. I think right now it's important to understand how much money you have, very fundamentally, and it's whether you have $5 or $100,000. I think you need to understand what you actually need and what you don't need to survive. I'll tell people right now, also, don't panic, because panic does not help. Be aware, be woke, be conscious about what's happening here. But fundamentally speaking, panic is not a good thing to do when you're in a quote unquote crisis. Now, what is crisis? What does that mean for me? Crisis means when you don't understand that life is chaos, and life is always going to be chaotic. And the reason why you create savings, or you create income diversification or investments, or the reason, more importantly, why you can take this time of crisis to learn new skill sets and get off of our high horse that a lot of us have been on, which really means, a lot of us we've been very lucky in the United States of America over the last 10 years to be able to thrive in a place where what we thought was actually have need and demand will cease, right? So right now, I think there's skill sets that we need to learn, and everyone has to go back to school and have that mindset right now, because the markets will change, the economy will change, what people value will change, what is actually created, what actually is valued will change, where demand is going to be changed. And then, of course, in a recession, and we are in a recession, people of color have always been in a recession. So I just want to say that women have always been in a recession. Immigrants have always been in a recession. LGBT, QT, disabled, non-able-bodied people have been in the recession. So it means living within that mindset. And I can get into more of the fundamentals, Mike, about investing and how I would look at revenue. But the last thing I want to really want to point out is if you're not in the mindset where every day you're going to learn a new skill set that's going to help you create value in the marketplace, not the marketplace in your head or your college degree or what we were doing 4 months ago, in a social club or downtown New York or in LA, whatever. Where is the market going to be? What are people going to need now? And what are they going to need in 12 to 2 years? Because I can say something. I was listening to Mary to your Instagram live, and the reality is whether we cure this thing tomorrow, the economy will lag for 2 years. We just printed $2 trillion worth of money. Granted, we live in a fiat currency where we can print, but there's a lot of liquidity in the market right now, and that's going to create inflation. It's going to create consumer pricing. It's going to create a lot of supply chain issues. And you got to remember, we're still in it, right? We're in the middle of the fog, right? In the beginning, there's the panic, then it dips, and we kind of like get to a place where we're jaded. And then now we're in a space now, I think, where we're just getting used to like being in this reality. But remember, this is only 3 weeks. So we have to think about what is 2 years from now going to look like realistically. And not to set panic or not to make people scared, because we are lucky, unlike my teenage years and my childhood in Venezuela, where we have this device where we can still create value with each other. The stock market is still open. We can still take some of our intelligence and create community. We can still heal people. We can still share our thoughts around medicine and for sure, Charlie, the courts will be open. We're going to have a lot of litigation and issues going forward. So I would just say, and I want to hug the mic here, is to treat this like the first day of high school. That's where we really are right now. I would say, like the first day of high school, make sure you're ready. Make sure you figure out where your clan is, where your clique is. Make sure you understand how not to get beat up. Understand, who to make friends with. This kind of thing is important now. We are back to that place in the United States of America. Now, and I'll let it go to you, Michael, and then we can go from there.
So basically, we got to lay that outfit out on the bed.
Yes.
The day before, right?
Yes.
So, with that, thank you so much. And I want to throw it to Mary, if we can unmute Mary. Manny, please unmute Mary real quick. I don't know if I have host capabilities. Mary. All
okay,
right.
cool. I'm unmuted.
So Mary, really quickly, one of the things that Jay said really stuck out to me, which was about understanding what markets will be working in this new world. Can you give us some suggestions on what markets that you think we should be focusing on right now for investment, for financial opportunities?
I'd love to, if I can, before I go into that, backtrack into what this current state of New York is going to have available alongside the stimulus package that's been signed by the president.
Okay.
So if everyone can, on your own, look at what I posted in the chat, which breaks down a lot of the questions that you have around the stimulus package. It's important to look at that because there's several people that are now included as part of this as being able to receive benefits. Unemployed, freelancers, people that were supposed to get jobs and then they got taken away because of the coronavirus. There's a degree of an amount of money that is part of this program that goes beyond the 26 weeks that are normally provided by unemployment, that extends it by another 13 weeks. I do want to be very honest and very real here. According to the ancestors, for those who want to hear this, cool. If you don't like it, I don't care. But according to the ancestors and according to the spiritual energies that you may be tapped into or not, this isn't going to be resolved by May. This isn't going to be resolved by June. This isn't going to be resolved by July. So that 26 plus 13 weeks isn't a lot of time. So it is important to reiterate Jay's point of living within your means. And if you have families that you're providing for, what does that look like? Because every single one of your family members may be affected by this, and you're going to have to think about what it is to commune your money together to be able to make this last. to also highlight this $1,200 check was only created based off of one factor, minimum wage, $7.25. Based upon, that's how that number came about. They used it to quantify how much you would get paid according to minimum wage across a certain amount of time. This does not consider anybody in here who I know by name per se that has a minimum wage expense or minimum wage payments. So when you think about receiving this, and if you have not filed for 2018 or 2019 taxes, you're not going to get this. You need to file now, like tonight, like tomorrow, to make sure that you're counted. Because a lot of you thinking that you're going to receive an immediate check in the mail within 3 to 5 weeks isn't going to really happen. So I just want people to really take advantage of reading the resource I pointed out to breaking down the stimulus package, where you should start applying for aid. If you're a small business owner, there are programs with the SBA that you should be applying to now. If you're a restaurant owner, anyone like that, that's fine. And for those on this call that are actually friends of mine that have my number, I'm down to have a more in-depth conversation with you. But if people want to consult with me on that at a reduced rate, we can talk about that. But I want to reiterate that everybody has to be mindful of the fact that this bill breaks down some things that, even whether you like Trump or not, you need to take advantage of what's available. Yeah. I just want to put that out there. As far as
Absolutely.
new market.
And you posted that link in the chat. So you guys can find that link that Mary posted in the chat. There's a feature that just says chat. Click on that and you'll be able to access that. Go ahead.
Also, a lot of the work that I do in cannabis is around government relations. I don't make that public work, because me meeting with Cuomo and me meeting with the governor's team is really none of your business, right? And that's not how you secure those meetings when you gallivant that that's what you do. So even the work that I'm trying to offer on the CRTA, which is the current marijuana legislation bill provided by the governor's team, my job, which I just had to do right now, was to read or watch the governor's update on what New York State is going to have to do, given that this current stimulus bill does not give any money to the state. It focuses on states that really have less cases than we do. So for those that are on Medicaid, you're greatly affected by even being able to be tested for COVID-19 in the hospital. You're greatly affected by the fact that now, and the governor just announced this, they're gonna have to make severe cuts within the state budget that he himself has said that no one has ever really seen before. So what this state is going to have to do is different than what the federal government is offering. So I implore all of you to start taking a bit more conversation and mindfulness into watching the governor's updates, and to watching Bill de Blasio's updates, and to watching Borough President Eric Adams' updates, because these are going to grossly affect what you need to keep in mind. The governor also just announced a travel ban on non-essential travel. So take a chance to go through that. I know people are writing up those stories now. You should read that post this conversation. Yeah. As for new markets to think of, cannabis is a commodity. It will be offered as a commodity very soon. For those that are trying to talk about cannabis stocks, that's not the conversation I want to have right now, because a lot of those stocks and a lot of those companies are off-letting companies left and right now. The stability of trying to figure out, is the market a best place to start spending and investing money? I'm going to tell you right now, according to my hedge fund connections and people that I know in the business, no, this market is going to drop again. Yeah. So whatever you see happening right now as a rise, it's not going to be what you think it is. So I do not want anyone to take this opportunity to be like, I'm going to jump into the stock market if you haven't done it before, because there's 2 rules on trading. If you're going to miss the money that you're trading, you're not ready. If you're going to miss it, if you're going to be like, damn, I shouldn't have put in 5K, you shouldn't have done it. And it's not just built off of you jumping in because your homeboy or I or Charlie or you or Jay said, go with something. If you're not able to do your own investigation, you're not going to win here. And I'll give you an example. For the past 2 years, even when I was living in LA, I woke up at 4 a.m. PST, 3 a.m. PST to check the markets before I even did anything to move my money. When this was starting to become a conversation globally in February, I was waking up at 3 a.m. to watch China markets and European markets. Before the market did its first big crash, I already moved my money. I even did a phone call on it with some people on my personal page, but most of those people had never heard of trading before. So that conversation didn't really help anybody. But this is what you have to do if you're going to put yourself into this frame of mind of trying to play these games with the stock market. Waking up at 3 a.m. to see what's happening overseas. Waking up early and getting advice from a real financial advisor. Making that investment in a way that may not be something that's top of mind right now. Again, Jay just reiterated, and I'm reiterating from what I know and from an ancestral knowledge know, this isn't going to be resolved by the summer. We're not going to be back outside riding bikes in July. Yeah. So if you're looking at this from a I'm prepared up until now standpoint, I challenge you to change that mindset as soon as possible and to move early. And in the business of what I've been able to provide friends such as Mike and some other people on this call, whenever I've given direct conversational notes about what the state is going to announce, I'm giving you something that's been talked about for days before it even hits the news. So when you see it on the news, someone like me has already told her girlfriends and her close friends and her man, hey, do this, do that, because this is going to happen tomorrow. And I'm blessed to be able to have that trust within the networks that I have. But when it comes to studying new markets, agriculture, cannabis, construction, because construction workers still have to work. So any of those tools connected to construction are very valuable right now. Anything related to biomedical, biochemistry, any of the firms that are racing to get this vaccine done. And also another thing about vaccines, when this vaccine comes out, you really have to think about, do you want to be the first to have a brand new vaccine in your system? Because at the end of the day, you got to really think of, you have to really think about that. You're talking about
a rushed
situation. Now, the people that race to the finish, yes, they're going to be making money. And yes, that's an opportunity for you to think about. But you as a body, even with rushed trials in the US, that's something you have to think about. The way that the US goes about verifying a medicine or even saying that a certain product or a crop is okay is different than the guidelines in the UK. It's different than the guidelines that are in Europe, because the UK and Europe separated, so it's not the same. It's different than the guidelines in China. It's different than the guidelines in Japan. It's different than the guidelines in Australia. It's different than the guidelines in New Zealand. We allow certain additives in our food in the US that the UK and Europe would never allow. So when you're looking at what China is doing and what Japan is doing, as far as what they've deemed as successful, the processes for the US, the USDA, the FDA are very different. And this is why it's important to be a civic-minded and educated consumer. Because when you start hearing about these new drugs and these new things, yes, from an investment standpoint, it's great to jump in early, but investors don't invest because they have heart. They invest because they want money. So if you're sitting here thinking about, I'm going to invest in flowers because you care about flowers, you're not going to make any money. If you're sitting here thinking about, I'm going to invest in Walmart and Amazon, although they are definitely not allowing their employees to be protected by this virus, they are not giving them masks, they're not giving them gloves. I just send my own brother masks and gloves every week because that's my brother. Does it mean that they're not making money? No, they're making a lot of money. So when you're an investor, you have to not think about, I want to invest in things that make me feel good. You have to invest in things that are going to make money.
Right.
And so the removal of heart and morals for people that make money, it ain't there. I have friends that are like, yo, Mary, I need your help. I'm like, great. But guess what? I'm now providing for my aunt and uncle who are 73 and 75 in Detroit who can't work. I need that money not only for them, but for me. So it's not about me just being the homie anymore. It's about if we can't establish a successful barter, if I ain't known you 10 plus years like you and Jay and Aunt Denby, if I haven't known you in a way where we are almost kindred, then you need to think about what it is that you're going to be able to afford to get this knowledge from anyone, because everybody is trying to figure out how to make money. And that's what I have to say about that too.
Mary, thank you so much. I think you touched on two things that I wanted to touch on. You said a mouthful, markets, agriculture, construction, biomedical, biotech, and really educating yourself and not just saying, oh, I heard that. I don't want people to look at this how they looked at cryptocurrency, right? I was definitely one of those people where I was in a car with somebody who was like, yo, man, crypto. And I put a couple, probably like a G up. And man, I didn't see that money. I should have just went to Vegas and bet on the blackjack tables. But two things that you said that really stuck out to me, and Charlie, we're going to get to you because I know you have something to add to that conversation, is the importance of community and the importance of exchange, right? So a lot of us can have a lot of pride when it comes to money, right? And start judging people because they start talking about money in exchange for their time. But, as somebody who has 7 to 8 mouths to feed, that's my mother, my spouse, my kids, my stepkids, like I just do not have the time to argue with you about my fees, right? I just don't have that time anymore. We don't have that luxury. So I think that we need to get that out of the way. And that is a scarcity mindset that we no longer can afford to have. So Charlie, as an investor, as somebody who's really tapped into the entrepreneurial scene, what would you like to add to that as far as, and let's talk about real estate, because I want to put a little twist on my question. You have 3 real estate investment properties that you've had for a while. How is that market? How is managing tenants and the rent freezes and all this stuff that's going on? How's that been playing out for you and your partners?
Okay, well, thank you, Mike. So as far as the real estate is concerned, I've been fortunate where my tenants have not lost, any wages as a result of this epidemic. So they have been able to pay somewhat, but I do represent some housing clients that have had issues in making their rent. And, there are resources out there, especially in New York City, where people can call to get some financial assistance, and I'll put that in the chat as well. As far as mortgage relief, so that the landlords can actually, can at least survive tenants not paying. There is in New Jersey. I live in New Jersey now. There is a 90-day mortgage relief. It doesn't mean that your mortgage payments get canceled. It just means that you have a 90-day window to actually pay those mortgage payments. I don't know if that really helps, especially not knowing, like Mary said, not knowing how far this is going to extend. You can't think about this month. You got to think about the future. So if you have it now, some may disagree with me, but if you have it now, I would say you make your mortgage payments. But again, there are resources out there for people going through really tough economic times, and they cannot pay their rent. So with real estate, fortunately for me, I've been okay thus far. But again, we'll see next month, right? Or the month after that. I know, and I know I have to prepare. So I'm making myself aware of all the relief efforts that the city's putting out. As far as work and your fees, I remember when I first started working for myself, and I had a colleague, and I had charged someone $5,000 for a case, and my client and my colleague said, no, that case is worth $10,000, and I was like, well, I can do it for $5,000, and he brought up the fact that, well, I have a family, I have a house in the Hamptons, I got major expenses. I'm not going to dedicate my time to do this case for nothing less than $10,000. So I guess that's to me, that was a lesson. And sometimes you can help your clients out by not spending frivolously in your own personal life. I can afford to take you on because I'm not out here spending money recklessly.
Right.
You know, I'm not out here. I know what I need. I know what my basic necessities are. And that is what I'm doing personally to make sure that I'm able to represent my clients still zealously within their means. It's not to say that sometimes I'm like, you know what? You know, it's not to say that sometimes it's hard for me. I'm not saying that. But I think making that effort goes a long way, and it helps more people in the long run. So that's how, as far as my business, that's how I run it. I also come from the hood. You know, I'm a Harlem guy. I'm a Dominican American, first generation. You know, I grew up in uncertainty. I grew up in a financially restrictive environment. You know, so I put myself in a person's shoes, wanting to ask for representation, needing representation, and not having the money because the incident was unexpected, right? So I try to help them from the start. This is before coronavirus. You know, I try to set up payment plans for those types of clients. But, you know, this just teaches you, and especially as a small business person, it teaches you that there's things that you should spend money on, which is obviously food, you know, which is obviously, you know, keeping up with your bills. And I know as we go down the line, you know, people may differ as to whether that should be something that they should be spending their money to. I'm actually interested to see what Mary has to say about that as far as paying your bills now. But I'm a firm believer of good credit, you know, and protecting your credit, because in times like these, you know, they'll be able to, you know, lend you some money so that you can survive the next 2 or 3 months. So just like really honing down on what's important, telling family members like, look, you're gonna have to, like, you know, if you're supporting family members, you're gonna have to have that real conversation with them. And look, for many years, not for many years, I would say like for 5 years, I've been buying into this thing that less is more, right? And I've been getting into this minimalistic culture that feeds me personally, because I find myself working, but still not having to work to purchase items that I may lose interest in about a year or two, right? Like I'm working for myself and I'm able to afford to carve out time so that I can keep creating and keep becoming the person that I want to become on a personal level. So all of that, I guess for a small business owner, managing your expenses, watching your time, carving out time for yourself. Like if you have the expensive car, the expensive outfits, the expensive watch, and you find yourself just working to pay these things off, and you're going to have to continue working because these things are only going to improve, it's going to be really hard for you to carve out some time for yourself. And so that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, Charlie, you're absolutely right. I didn't realize I was paying almost $200. I realized it, I saw it, but in just apps,
Wow.
like I'm talking household combined between me and my partner. Like, you know, I looked at that and I said, do I really need this workout app right now? This gym app? Like, you know,
Michael.
Right.
No, Michael.
$99 a week. So I cut all of that out. And just because I can do it doesn't mean that I should do it. I waited online for 45 minutes yesterday to go in Trader Joe's. And since in this last 15 days, you know, I looked at my expenses as far as what we spent as a household on groceries, and I could have bought a small Honda Accord, like, you know, like it's insane, because the more kids you have, the more mouths you have to feed, you know, obviously the more money that you're going to spend. But what I had to do, Charlie, and you're right, and I had to have a family meeting, which I do regularly, and say, hey guys, we're going to have to be mindful of how much food that we're eating. We have to be mindful about waste. And I bought, you know, a deep freezer, you know, just to, you know, stash food in and stuff like that, because it also is a matter of time. You know, you can't just waltz in the supermarket anymore and just be in and out in 15 minutes.
And I'd like to add to that. There are going to be additional items coming down the line that are going to limit these visits and limit what's available in these grocery stores. And I'm not saying that to make anybody freak out, but I'm just telling you some realities as to what's happening in other countries in terms of how they're deeming essential needs and essential items. So, you know, like I mostly have a vegan diet, but given what's going on, I've had to, just considering my metabolic response to what I need to be able to function, I'm eating meat again. I'm storing meat. I have things in a deep freezer in my crib right now. So, you know, access to fresh produce, that's changing actually right now. Access to certain items that you thought you'd always have access to, they're not available. Thinking about what it is to be able to modify your diet and modify your eating and create your own fasting regimen, and even be mindful of the fact that you have to create a healthy regimen through physical, mental, and wellness and nutritional activities now, because your immune response to this ailment, such as if you're still smoking, very bad. This particular COVID-19 virus targets the bottom of the lungs, not the top. Pneumonia targets the top. This targets the bottom of the lungs. If you're smoking weed and smoking cigarettes, you're playing yourself, because doctors are having a very hard time targeting the bottom of the lungs. What happens, which is why people get this sentence of just like peace and transition to you, is that it fills up from the bottom up. When you get past a certain point in your rib cage, the doctors can't do anything for you. They can't reverse the drainage if your respiratory, circulatory, and heart systems can't naturally flush these things out with the aid of medicine. So if you are still using fire combustion to get certain things into your system, you are really, really playing games with the fact that if you get hit with this, and according to de Blasio, half of New Yorkers will, you're gonna have a harder time fighting this. Obesity lowers your immune response. Stress and anxiety lowers your immune response. Insomnia lowers your immune response. Heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. Most of the people that passed away in Italy had high blood pressure, which made it harder for them to fight this virus. So for everybody on here who's like, well, I'm good, I'm just gonna smoke weed, or, you know, I don't need to really care about being active, you actually really do. And for the clients that I have on the herbalism side that are fighting COVID-19, I've had to make them fast and still sweat and still work out. And these are guys with abs, these are girls with abs, these are friends with previous health conditions, these are friends without previous health conditions. All of this is really part of doing what you need to do to fight this strain of the virus. So anything that is an immune suppressor makes it worse for you to fight. It's going to delay the process. It's going to affect other organs. It's going to, some people I know for 6 weeks still don't have their taste in their tongue back, because it removes your sense of smell and your taste on your tongue, which is how you know that you have COVID-19 for sure. And not every symptom is the same. I have friends with abs and bodybuilders that have complete body aches that are barely able to talk, versus one of my best friends who was coughing blood out of her lungs. Again, these are different symptoms for different people. So you can't go based off of what you're seeing or reading about. And you also can't go based off of conspiracy theories, because those are incorrect, right? So you really have to think about what this means and understand the health that you need to put yourself into if you're not in good health to be able to withstand fighting this if you are hit with this virus.
I just wanted to add to that, and I think that is so important, and I'm so glad that Mary went into it. I'm sick and tired of seeing folks smoking their hookahs, smoking, you know, look, I stopped smoking cigar, and Michael, you can attest, I'm a big cigar fan, you know, but you just can't do it. It lowers your immune system. I think the youth, you know, the young people that aren't necessarily diving into, or, you know, they don't have access to this information, is extremely important that they know about this, and we need to do a better job in communicating this information to them. But I just wanted to add one thing that I missed to touch on, which is perspective shift as well. You know, that helps with the immune system, because the more stressed you are, it does attack the immune system. And, you know, I sat down the other day, you know, and thankfully I wasn't, you know, I haven't gotten to a point where I'm panicking, right? Because I'm doing the work. I'm waking up, I'm getting rest, I'm meditating more than ever now. I'm running, I'm running 4 miles almost every day. I'm working out at home. I'm reading, I'm doing the work. But also, when you look at what's happening, there's a huge perspective shift. What I was probably going to spend in the next 2-3 months, I've probably already saved. I've had 2 weddings that I was supposed to go to this month. I mean, next month, since we're approaching April, and the month after that, we're already talking about $6,000 that I get to save, right? A whole bunch of other events. And it's like, okay, you're not going back and forth into the city. For me to drive into New York City, it's $35 to park your car. Think about all of that you're saving by just working from home if you have the luxury to work from home. So, just add perspective, and maybe that perspective can help you in the way you perceive what the problem is, and it helps you get in a better spirit, helps with your immune system, helps you to keep fighting. Because, we also have to know, like, there's some benefits financially because you're not incurring the cost of going in back and forth into the city, and because of these events.
And also, smoking includes vaping, everybody.
Right.
I just want to, I'm being very honest here because I have several private clients that did not make the shift and they are struggling. So you can use edibles if you're consuming cannabis right now for anxiety and insomnia. I get it. If you need to figure out how to make an edible, there are a lot of recipes on the internet for you to figure out how to make an oil or something of that nature. But you are in order to give your body the best of way to fight through this, you don't want to look at yourself and be like, why didn't I just stop this for this particular time? Why did I put myself in this position?
And Mary, I have a question. Okay, let's talk preparation. All right. There's a lot of confusion about the mask and glove situation.
Yes.
I live here in New Jersey, in the burbs, and there are a lot of older people. And I go to the supermarket, I'm masked and gloved up, right? And I see them just walking around willy-nilly, touching everything, touching their face, not taking it seriously. What should I be wearing when I go outside? Should I be getting a mask, or if I don't have a mask, a scarf around my face? Can you touch on that?
Sure. And I think Jay and I kind of talked about this somehow on a live, either his live or my live some point last week. But so I know everybody right now got a cousin that's a doctor and a CDC person for some odd reason. I didn't know all these folks have these cousins that do all this high profile work now. But I'll tell you right now, my actual cousin that works in Atlanta, the CDC is going to make an announcement. Now, whether Trump announces it or not is a different issue. But the CDC made a decision where they're going to go back on what they said earlier, which is everyone should have a mask when they're outside now. The reason why that's important to note is because a few weeks ago, the CDC did not say that. They said only medical professionals need masks. That is now going to change. Will you hear that from our government? I don't know. I'm telling you right now that the CDC has changed their thoughts on this. So that means that everybody can either do one of two things. One, you're not going to be able to buy masks. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can go buy it. I know people that got the hookup, but that hookup is now going to doctors. The masks that I have a couple of N95 in case, but I've been utilizing regular masks. I have bought these masks that I have right now from Taiwan months ago. I have a lot of these. I have, there's even these masks, which were given to me by my doctor. I have like 20 of these. He told me to give these out to people, even though these are not the ones that they're using. But he's like, if you know an elder on your block that just doesn't have it, like, give it to them, right? Yeah. But if you have a bandana,
that's what I've been doing.
That's something you can do. Unfortunately, with clothing, the pores and the holes of clothing are wide. And so viruses can get into those. These are even wide for viruses. This is a little wide for a virus. If you make a mask on a sewing machine, which I have, and I'm actually making a mask for my dude tonight, we're using jean material, but does that mean that it's going to be, you know, can something seep in? Yes. So, you know, the masks that medical professionals need, the N95, need to be in their hands. And if you do have one as a regular citizen, great. But reusing your mask, that's a bit of a problem. Not having gloves, that's a big problem. And there's also a real consideration here that now, given what the CDC is saying now, usually that leads to one of two things. One, they realize that the air pores that are receiving this virus are a bit more travel friendly than they thought. Or two, that this is airborne. So the social distancing thing is very important. That means that this 6 feet away, far away from possible thing is real. So when you're in these lines that have these gaps, when you're in the store and somebody doesn't respect your space, you need to either get out of their way or they need to respect the fact that they are in your way. Because now this is really an issue where they can't tell if air is circulating this the way that they're doing it. So people should be gloved up. If you don't have an ability to get nitrate or latex-free gloves or latex gloves, you can get the dishwasher gloves. You just have to disinfect them every time you get home, wash your hands every time you get home, but you need to be gloved up, not with mittens, not with gloves from Uniqlo. Like, if you got to use the yellow joints, you got to use the yellow joints, but you have to disinfect them. So yes, everybody needs to be protecting their face as much as possible if they have to go outside.
And what we're going to do is we are going to, yes, don't mute myself. What we're going to do, there's one of our, he already dropped it in the chat. Andre is actually experiencing some symptoms. And we're going to talk to him a little later. So Andre, please stay on the call. But I, you know, you guys jumped right into the health aspect of it. And this was really, really useful information. Thank you so much. One thing I definitely want to take a step back to talk about business and money and in economics. There's a lot of people who have never, all three of us on this, you know, me, Charlie, Jay, and you, we are entrepreneurs. And been doing this over 10 years. There's a lot of people who overnight are going to have to become entrepreneurs, which is not an easy thing. It is loss of sleep. It is pushing through when you don't feel like working. You want to go lay down. You want to go watch Netflix. It is, you know, it has been a 24/7 thing for me for the last 13 years. And for a lot of you guys as well. Now, there's a lot of people who are going to be forced into starting their own businesses. What advice would you say as far as a perspective shift, right? Charlie mentioned that. What advice as entrepreneurs would you give these guys? I want to start with Jay on this. Me and you have done countless projects together. And, you know, there's just some people who are born to do this. And there's just some people who are forced to do this. I'm going to say I was one of those people who was forced to do this. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm, you know, Elon Musk. You know, I was fired from my job, had to feed my kid. I had to teach myself how to do this. A lot of people do not really understand because they have worked at 9 to 5s primarily for their entire lives. What advice can you give them for that shift? That's a huge change in their lives.
You guys are so bright. Thanks everyone for sharing your information. I just want to say, everyone will get through this because, you know, we either die or we thrive, you know, so anything in the middle, just want to put that on the record is okay. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll get through this. Information is not to scare you. Information is to make you grounded so you can make the right decisions. So this is good information. Thanks, Charlie and Mary, for sharing some of that stuff because I'm thinking too. So I believe in frameworks. I don't believe in just knowledge and just having knowledge, right? Everyone can have information knowledge. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about in terms of just broad terms. What is an asset and what's a liability? I think it's something that people need to understand conceptually and the application, how that actually exists within their own lives, and then of course within the business. An asset is something that appreciates, you know, something of value that appreciates, and a liability is something that depreciates. What that means, an asset is something that actually gains value with time, and a liability is something that loses value with time. Now, there's a lot of types of value, right? Value or commodities are things that have intrinsic value. And what intrinsic value means that air and oxygen will always have value, right? Because we need oxygen to survive. So it would always have value. Water would always have intrinsic value because we need water to survive. Food will always have value because we need to survive. Nitrogen will always have value. Oranges, those are what's called commodities. Then you have things that have perceived value. Perceived value are things that what we call brands, things that have emotional attachment to that. We inflate the value, and through marketing and through culture and through status symboling and social signaling, a lot of things that we consider assets are actually not assets, they're liabilities. So for example, a pair of Nikes, right? That's a conversation. Is that a liability, or is it a commodity? Now, other day, I know, and I'm quite cheeky when I post up because, you know, you got to be a little bit edgy on internet, right? So I posted the other day that a pair of Air Force Ones is more expensive than a share of Nike trading right now in the stock market. And what I meant by that was, and someone got really mad, thought I was shaming someone. I was like, I'm not shaming anyone. I just want to add perspective that right now Nike is trading at, you know, at that time it was $69 per share, and a pair of Air Force Ones on Nike's website were $78 plus tax. And this is in the middle of the crisis. Now, what is an asset or liability? Okay, so if your business isn't reselling Nikes, right, you're going to see a reduction in business right now, because right now that as an asset class is no longer as valuable as it was 3 weeks ago, because people are worrying about masks, Trader Joe's cereal, you know, their job, their mortgage, what bill, that information, that 24-hour. So a lot of things that were considered asset classes may not really be asset because they have no intrinsic value. All their value is perceived. So again, liability is an asset. What I'll tell everyone what to do right now is to go through their inventory, everything in their house. And if you're really serious about money, you have to be serious, right? If you want to protect the bag, you need to understand what the bag is. And if you're not serious, and you don't take yourself serious, then get off the chat, because it doesn't make sense wasting your time. You might as well waste time somewhere else. But you should go down in your house and say, okay, these are things that I need. These are core staples that I need as assets. And on the other side of that table, they should be liabilities. Now, we all need nice things. You know what I'm saying? But those nice things should be 10% of your portfolio, your total net value, the max. So whatever you're spending money on should be 10% of everything you have. So if you're worth right now $100, don't be embarrassed. That means that you have $10 to spend on sexy stuff, right? That's a disciplined person about their finances. So 10% of that should be allocated to things that you need good for, to feel good or whatever that be. So again, assets and liabilities, okay? That's something I want people to understand. One is an asset, one's a liability. There's certain things that are intrinsic that you cannot own per se. Oxygen, maybe not yet. Maybe one day, Mary, there might be a new asset class around oxygen. I guarantee that in the future, they'll figure out how to make things, you know, valuable. But I can say liabilities are a big thing that people crowd, because in good times, we buy liabilities and they make us feel good. They comfort us, and more importantly, they signal in outside that they have value. But guess what? If we're inside, and one of my boys, Kevin's on this, he talks about being outside all the time. You know, if you're inside, a lot of things that were valuable outside don't have any value because we're inside. So actually, what's valuable inside? So start doing an inventory like a store would, right? Like a company would. The human body is the first business you own is your human body, right? The second business you own is the stuff in your house, right? Assets and liabilities. And the third business you know a business is something that we'll talk about now, Michael, and I'll be brief here. What is a business? I think people hear this word a lot of times. I own a brand, I own this, okay, that's how I own, that's not a business. So what is a business? A business is something that creates value. I'll say it 100 times for you guys. So it's business is something that creates value for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Not for you,
Mm-hmm.
not for mommy,
Yes.
not for daddy, not for your art degree, not for your science degree, not for your law degree, not for your last job, not for whatever title you had. That's not a business. A business is creating value for someone else. It took me a long time to understand the simplicity around that at a price they're willing to pay for. So I can create something of value for you that you want, but if you're not willing to pay for it, then why am I in that business? That's now called charity. And that's an entire, IRS has an entire way to delegate something that's a non-for-profit and something that's a for-profit organization. I'm talking about for-profit organizations. So again, a business is something that creates value for someone else at a price that they're willing to pay for. Okay, the fourth part of that is delivered and fulfilled, right? Where it exceeds the expectation, where it meets and exceeds the expectation. So I can have something of value that you value, and I know that you're willing to pay that price, but then I realize, holy crap, China is shut down, the customs is shut down. So the thing that I need to get through that customs is I can't get that to you. So then I spend all that money on marketing, I spend all that money communicating, I spend that money developing clients, and then I can't give you what I promised, then I lose you forever.
And then that's why you have layoffs right now. That's why you have every major clothing retailer offering crazy sales.
Demand.
Right.
No demand. There's no demand. So, and then I want to add the five piece of that.
Yes.
Because before we get into entrepreneurship, I think we need to understand the fundamentals of assets and liabilities and what is a business. Again, business is that creates value for someone else, not yourself, at a price they're willing to pay for, delivered and fulfilled where it meets and exceeds the expectation, all while you make a profit. The sixth part is very important. Okay? So you can do these things and deliver and meet someone's expectation, but you realize to get that thing too custom, it costs you a lot more money because you got to grease, and I'm Venezuelan, so we know about greasing palms, because when things get sticky, all of a sudden now inflation is on the street, money's worth less. Now it's, I'm not saying that's where we are yet, but I just know where we can get. So by the time and it's called landing costs, right? For it to get to the customs into your house and then put in packaged and stuffed and delivered to someone, that costs you money. And at that point, all that cost from concept to that point is the cost of you delivering, cost of goods. You want to now then mark up your price there at a retail price where when that gets to someone else now, you make a profit. Now, you can send a couple of freebies if those of you know are familiar with the drug trade. Michael, I see you smiling. I think you knew I was going to go with that. So the drug trade.
Hey, I mean, I'm doing good. I don't know.
Some people call it drugs. Some people call it pharmaceuticals. I don't know. I'm not the FDA or the Security Exchange Commission. I'm just, I just want to share what my experience is. And I'm not God either. I'm just sharing what I know. And I can tell you something, the landing costs, and once it gets to someone, it needs to meet their expectations or exceed it so that they can be excited. I'm happy and excited, especially in a time of crises and anxiety. If someone receives something good, okay, that means that they'll be happy and tell people. Now, that's the same thing if you're in the service business. If your way of fulfilling your service is through the internet or through Zoom or through this computer, same thing. You know what I'm saying? All those costs for your subscriptions, for your internet, this cost for your Zoom account, the cost for all these things are a part of your costing. So again, the reason why I tell people to start, doing an inventory of their body and their surroundings, it gets you in the mindset, okay, of figuring out what are assets and liabilities. Now, an entrepreneur by definition is someone that takes on risk, right? It's someone that's risky. I see someone, Will Davis, you smile over there. You look good in back there. But it's someone that's taking on risk, and it's risky. I think right now we have to probably delever ourselves a little bit and manage our risk and expectations right now. So it means all of us who've been doing sexy consulting work, myself included, might have to get into delivering information that's critical.
Yeah.
It might get into creating value, and it's critical, because if you're in one business, whatever the product or service is, it all depends on the market, right? The market tells us what to do. So I would say right now, as a rule of trade, is as you make your asset liability list, make another list and say, what does the market need? Start with yourself. Start with the community. And sometimes I'll give you an example. If Walmart is selling you a mask, and if there's a person of color brand selling a mask, or there's an LGBTQ or selling a mask, or there's a women's brand selling a mask, you probably want to support something that's closely to you. So as a business person, as an entrepreneur, as a service provider, don't be afraid to actually speak to the people in your community, because those are the people that will pay for your cereal at Trader Joe's. Those are the ones that's going to pay for the internet. So I think when I say not as sexy, before I think we relied on the big brands and the corporations to facilitate a lot of this conversation in terms of who funds and pays for this. Now we're going to have to get back into the old school, right? And guess what? If we do this and the world goes back to smiles next tomorrow, guess what? You figured out a lot of things. But back to grassroots, back to neighborhood, back to mom and pop, because there's a business right now. I tell you one now, there's a lot of old people in your neighborhood. If you don't know how many old people are in your neighborhood, you don't understand business, because I've been doing a small accounting. Who needs to get their cereal delivered? Who needs to get mass delivered? All of a sudden now you can create a business there. Now you can start providing a service. So that's the mindset behind a business person versus someone who has a brand. And I don't want to be, condescending, but I think right now it's important. I have another good friend. They're content producers, okay? I don't want to hog the mic, but I just want to share this for framework.
Good.
I have nowhere to go, by the way, guys. We can do this till Wednesday. Okay, so
where y'all going?
Anthony, where we going, Anthony?
I want to know where people are going. You ain't going nowhere.
We going.
Bistros is having a brunch live. So
you want to get a live brunch?
You can go escape, or you can double down. I like to double down. I like profits, because mama needs stuff, and my family needs stuff. And again, I'm not flexing. I just know how it is to be in a state of hopelessness, and the only retrieve you have is your ancestors, the universe.
Yes. And
you getting a pen and paper, and you getting busy and figuring out what are the demands and needs. And it's something that you could do right now, and you realize that you get these small things in your head that you discount. Any entrepreneur, any business person understands that the gods speak to us through those little small sound bites. Anthony, I see you shaking your head. You know what I'm talking about. And it comes in your head. Any songwriter, any creative knows, any writer, any person that had oh shit, you're in the shower, that eureka moment comes, and you got to write that down. So capture that. And right now, the framework that I would use, and I got this from Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, some of the two of the richest guys and two of the investors in the world. He said, I don't need to memorize stuff. I just need a good framework.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the framework is right now, if you want to figure out money, don't figure out the money yet. Figure out demand. What do people need and want right now? Make a list. Now, it could be D-Nice playing music right now. It could be, or it could be as low-key and lo-fi as you going taking a grocery run, Mike, for 45 minutes. While you're making a 45-minute grocery run, you might as well say anyone in the neighborhood. And one of my favorite apps now is called Neighborhood, much like Zoom. It's still a privately traded company, by the way, Charlie and Mary. But it's called Neighborhood.
I want to know what that is.
Neighborhood is something like Zoom, but you get everyone in the neighborhood to sign up, and you can figure out what everyone wants in the neighborhood. I'm making a run to the grocery. Hey, guys, if you could throw me $10, $20 for that run, you're making that run anyway. You start to think about how to create revenue in the most basic way. Sites like Fiverr, very good right now. Okay, get away from the sexy. Sites like
Upwork.
Indeed,
Upwork.
Sites like Indeed, very good. You know, INDEED, Indeed. Fiverr, TaskRabbit, very good. But now, if you're in those trenches, you got to be suited up, you got to be healthy, you got to have a strong immune system. So again, you have to do an account first of your human body. What can you physically, mentally, emotionally do?
And also, to add into this, Jay, tomorrow, Instacart is, the people that work at Instacart have a strike. They're doing a national strike because they are not being protected by the company when they're doing these runs. Yeah. So if you take Jay's idea and you run with this, you could become the suited up Instacart of your block. Yeah. Because now this business is going to have a big strike. That's going to be a conversation that already has literally, I have several friends that are Instacarting right now that are still going to do the strike. They're overloaded so badly that if you ordered groceries right now today, you're not going to get them till Thursday.
That's right. That's right. So, I want to ask something too, Michael.
Yeah, and then I got to jump to Charlie, and then we're going to jump into Q&A. Go ahead.
Okay. So I want to talk about what money is. I love fundamentals. Money is a currency. If money just sits in your pocket, it's going to experience inflation, right? The average inflation is about 4.5%. So that means you have $1 in your pocket. Every year, your dollar is worth 4.5% less.
That's right.
Okay, so that means every year your dollar is worth 5 pennies less. Okay, what we're going to have in about 2 years, if not sooner, is inflation.
That's right.
We're at 0% interest. Now I want to get to all the fundamentals of how so in other words, money is valued by the supply of money within a system. We also live in a great country called the United States of America, where we have the biggest consumer market in the world. So we kind of like, if we do bad, everyone does bad for now. Yeah. You know, for now. But while right now in the current mode, I would say quickly, Mikey, money is a tool to create assets. And some assets are non-liquid and some are liquid. And what I mean by that, liquid assets is cash equivalents, right? And non-liquid assets are things that you can't really sell in the market that you hold for the long term. So for example, a non-liquid asset is gold. A non-liquid asset is real estate. A non-liquid asset is aluminum, iron, right? Yeah. So when I'm investing in my mindset, I'm thinking about things that may not be liquid, but there's always a market for it, right? Because everyone always runs to gold because gold is the oldest currency on the planet. There's some other trades that are very old. I'll leave that for another conversation, but there's also those other businesses that exist, you know, but gold is always a place to think about. If you have money in your pocket, you also want to spend your money investing into your community. And that doesn't mean the stock market per se or another business, but you can invest in someone else's idea. You can invest in paying gas. You know, for example, let me just show an example about how I think about money. Now, I don't want to go to Trader Joe's because it doesn't make sense. I'm busy doing this Zoom call at 1 o'clock with Mike and a bunch of beautiful people. But Mike is going to Trader Joe's to do a run for the neighborhood. I say, Mike, let me pay for your gas and let me just take 5% of anything you make off that. That's me now operating as an investor, but on a local level. You see, so get creative in your mind about how you think about your money right now. Yes. Now, people think money has something to do with how much you have. Nothing to do with how much you have. And Kevin Wade, you know about this. Money is an index, is a measure of value. That's all it is, that we all subscribe to. It's just the lowest common denominator that says that how much money you have is to create assets. Now, if you use your money just to create liabilities or to flex, you will have less money.
That's correct.
I think about my money as a tool that next week, how can I create more money? Now, there's some weeks where you won't make any more money. There'll be things you won't, but that should be the mindset. How can I take my $1 to create $2? And usually those are the things that are not sexy. And I'll leave it on that note, Mike.
Listen, before anybody else says anything, I want to be very clear. As a lifetime entrepreneur, I've had one job in my life and then I got fired from that one. So I suck at having jobs. But I want to be very clear. This being too prideful stuff is not going to cut it in a new world.
Not here.
It's not. And I want to share a personal story. I went through probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I went through very hard financial hardships. And I had to jump on driving for Amazon, and nobody knew that I was doing it, but I had to do that to just bring in a couple $100s for my family. I'm in a better place now, but it beat sitting in my house being angry. I had to do what I had to do. Mm-hmm. And as we approach this new world, I feel like we have to tap back into those hustler years when we were younger. When we were younger, maybe having your paper route or carrying groceries from C-Town. I did that when I was 8 years old. Like, we have to get back to that Master P selling out of the trunk mentality, of course, with gloves and mask on. But this is not just about what is the big next tech idea, because I promise you, the guys that invested in these tech companies, which a lot of it is bullshit. You see guys that got like, oh, we got $3-4 million in funding, but that money is to grow the company. That money is being pulled right now.
Yeah, it's going.
I had a friend who had $2 million in funding for his company, and as soon as this quarantine thing hit, the guy sent a 2-sentence email. I am removing my money from this situation, and he's done. He had 8 employees. He had to let all of them go. And the company is about to fold. And it's a sad situation. But this is how markets work. People get fearful.
Look, Mikey, and if I can say something as well.
Right.
People confuse often. So I want to say revenue minus cost equals profit.
Mm-hmm.
People often confuse revenue with profit. Okay? And the other thing that you need to understand is margin. When I'm analyzing a business, the first thing I look at is their net margin. And that means how much money you make on everything you sell, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, there's a lot of companies that are valued based upon how much money they got financed with, which is called a financing cash flow, right? That's not real value. That's the same thing like someone saying, yo, I'll sell you a pair of Yeezys right now for $400. No, thank you, sir. I can't use Yeezys right now. So I can't. My question for me, if you sell me a pair of Yeezys right now, is how fast can I liquidate that sneaker and get real cash in my hand, or how fast can I unload that perceived asset to get another asset that's actually more secure? Right now, the most secure asset in America, other than real estate, is bonds. Historically, bond markets are taking a whipping, but I won't talk about that right now. I see you nodding your head, Juan. But bonds are U.S. government bonds and municipal bonds is the way that private citizens and people invest into the country. Those are the most secure assets in America. So if you want to give me a birthday gift, guys, in a year, from now, send me bonds. Don't send me Yeezys. Send me information to get me smarter. Share information to get you smarter, and share things that actually help you get assets. So I think the concept to really understand, based upon your friend's experience here, is that right now people becoming bearish on investing because right now they need cash, right? Mm-hmm. In times of uncertainty, when you experience inflation, I give you my quick example in Venezuela, I saw a 1,200% inflation happen when I was 13 years old. And what that means that, imagine going to get a gallon of milk in the supermarket, okay, for $3. Okay, and the next morning you go, and that same gallon of milk costs you $3,000. That's called sufflation. That's super inflation. And the reason why I know these terms, not because I'm smarter than anybody on this thing, because I had the experience. I've seen my family lose money because of, this not understanding assets and liabilities, not understanding what inflation means, not understanding the consumer pricing index, what things actually cost, understanding what value is, what a good deal is. So, and I want to just say this because it's important, because people of color, immigrants, women, LGBTQ, whoever you are, disenfranchised people, whatever color and creed you are, when you grow up in a situation where you felt poverty or lacking, all you want to do is get into a world where you can show people that you have something.
Yes.
And that's fool's gold, right?
Yes.
Because what people think doesn't really matter, you know. And as you get older, the people that actually have money and doing their thing usually are the people that actually have signals, because signals are dangerous, because signals require security to protect those signals, right? Because you're telling the world you have money, guess what happens? You have people invading your home to get your money. So that's not a smart thing. So I know most people that have money don't actually tell the world they have money. So if you feel like you don't have money, you have enough money to get on the internet, you have enough money to make this money double and triple. You have enough brains and mindset. I think if you're a person that will have a lot of information, get on YouTube, understand how YouTube generates money, understand digital. Mike, your wife knows very well, being a YouTube influencer, how that works. Now she has a new business, because now we can consult with your wife now, or Mary, you know this as well, how we can learn how to actually go on YouTube with this information and generate income. We got to get past the pride and really ask people what their skill sets are and not be afraid of money. Because like, for example, I was putting up stock tips on my Instagram last week. This young lady hit me up. She's from Ecuador, and, I'm South American. So, you have your experience with your community, right? I'm an African, indigenous, South American guy who grew up in Flatbush, Brooklyn. I feel, and, also an intellectual yuppie from New York. I have a commonality with a lot of people that's on this chat group. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, well, this is a market recession. And I'm a guy that stick to my price. And she said, I want to learn about money and investing. I said, all right, I'll give you 20 minutes at a discount. Okay? I'll give you 20 minutes of discount, right? I'll give you a 10% discount, because I already have accounted in my margins that even if I sell at 50%, I'm still making a profit because I did the homework. So, again, these things might be a little bit over your head, but it's not. Business is very basic. If I have one bean and that bean costs me $1 to grow, package, deliver, and ship in the mail, I better sell you that bean for at least $2.
And it makes sense for you to even speak about these successes, because people think that because Instagram is giving you free workouts that everything is free now. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I do not give any business advisement, strategy. I have 3 fitness friends of mine who I have turned their businesses into recession stable in a matter of weeks, even days. And I know what I'm doing. They paid me for their time, or they've given me something that's of equal barter to show their appreciation. I just say that to say this idea of everything being free is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. You being on IG Live for an hour, or you being like, I'll give my workout free for an hour. No, I can tell you right now, people will pay for it. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. So I have a business that, I've been monitoring since the quarantine started.
Yeah.
That business and my orders for that, it's an online, it sounds so old. it's an online store, and it's up 25%. This is the analytics right here. The analytics are there. You want to pay attention to your analytics and the data. And I'm saying, what are people responding to? How can I increase that? That's very important as well. Make sure to pay attention to the data. The data is going to make you understand human behavior and spending, especially during this time.
Well, Mikey, before you jump in, one of the oldest businesses in the world is preaching, right? If you got some spiritualism, share it with people. If you're a non-for-profit, you better have a GoFundMe or something on your page. There better be a way to collect money in some part of in your what you call a sales funnel, right? In the way to protect your bag is to look at yourself as a business, and everyone has something that they can offer of value. Just figure out if there's demand for that value, and figure out what the demand is, figure out how to blend the two, and create a sales funnel. Market it, come down, and at the end of that sales funnel, don't just look for a like. Think about the step from that like into actually generating that into cash. And now, It doesn't need to be $1,000. I feel good if I make 5 cents. You know why? Because it's not the number of money, the amount of money I make. It's the mindset behind it. You know, the first time you turn an idea or a concept or something you produce or write or create into some money, you never want to go back. And that's a different mindset. Everyone's shaking their head on this thing. You see, once that first time you get hooked, you say, oh my God, that is called the entrepreneur feeling.
Oh man.
And don't be afraid to say no. If somebody doesn't see the value in what you offer and they don't want to pay for it, you tell them no. I have no problem being like, then I guess we won't do business.
It ain't personal.
I have no problem telling you no.
Because they say no now doesn't mean they say yes later.
No
Charlie,
problem.
Go ahead, Charlie. Go ahead.
Also, I think it affects your brand when you actually come down on your price, because then they start to see you as someone, as a professional that's plagued by survivalist mentality, and it's probably not going to do the best, or it's probably not qualified. That's why they're letting their numbers slip like that.
Oh, and you could test. And you could test. I mean, like, Charlie, I don't want to cut you off.
No, that's fine. That's fine, Jay.
But everyone needs to know their reality, right? You have to build your margins, what we call pad your margins. You got to feather your nest. Charlie, you're a lawyer, right? Different kind of situation. It's from someone who's all they got is a truck and 5 kids, and you know, you get there.
So you know, just to, you know, because it's so simple, right? You know, Jay explained it. It's such a simple thing, is knowing where you can add value and where there's a demand. Obviously, right now for attorneys, especially for criminal defense attorneys or housing attorneys, family court attorneys, courts are closed for the most part. 90% of cases are not being heard by the judges. The judges are not there. You know, specific arraignments are being held, meaning when someone is arrested, but that person has to be arrested for a pretty serious crime. You know, even most drug cases right now where people are getting arrested, they're not seeing a judge. They're getting a desk appearance ticket so that they don't have to go to court. So yes, that does affect the bag of the attorney, because now you're not, you know, there's not a demand for you to show up to court.
Everyone's affected, bro.
Everyone's affected.
If you meet someone right now who is flexing, delete them.
They're lying.
Everybody is affected right now.
Listen,
they're lying.
Honestly,
there are so many people camping.
I love what Jay said, you know, because especially, look, you know, me being from Harlem and me being used to people flashing, you were a target. If you flashed, you were a target, whether you were lying and you had self-esteem issues, or you were dumb enough to not be aware of your surroundings. Not dumb, but like just a little less self-aware, that you become a target. And it takes away, like if you're a trial attorney, if you're a trial attorney and you're trying to convince a jury, the one thing that they tell you in law school is don't wear a fancy tie.
Exactly.
Because the jury is going to be so caught up on that tie that they're not going to be listening to the words coming out of your mouth.
Yep.
Right. So it takes away from the value that you actually do provide. But going back to like finding a demand. Well, you know what? Now you have to, you know, as someone who understands that, okay, this is not, you know, normal times. We have to find where the value and the demand is. Okay.
Which one's open, Charlie? Walmart or Bloomingdale's? Which one's open?
Right. And the government is saying that they want inmates to be released because of the coronavirus. So that creates a demand for the attorney to be like, you know what? I have this client that is in prison. He's been sitting in there waiting to go to trial. He can't afford the bail. You know what? Right now, judges are hearing petitions to get people released because they're susceptible, they're vulnerable to attracting the coronavirus. There's a demand. A lot of people, a lot of families are coming together and you know, helping to pay this attorney or that attorney to actually do these petitions.
Yo, we don't got time for caviar liberalism right now. The caviar is gone. Okay. Right. So I mean, and I mean that. Look, my mom makes 6 figures a year. She is a registered nurse. She teaches holistic medicine, and she's in the front lines. Okay. If my mom goes down, we got to figure out. My other sister is a lawyer. Okay. My other sister is a doctor, and if we're focused, right. You know, and I've been the man in around this planet. And if I'm focused, y'all better be focused. And that means Like when you get up in the morning, you better, like Mary's up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you better be eating right. You better be reading. You better be reaching out, get out your feelings, out your ego. I feel what somebody thinks, get out of it, because that has no place on this conversation. And for real, I know, some of my biggest fans, y'all, are some rando people who are not in the scene, who have nothing to do with anything cool.
No, I don't deal with any scenesters whatsoever.
Some of my biggest clients that pay me real bread are not people who have anything to do with anything that I like doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm a Soho House member, and guess what? The people that are paying me don't even know what that is. So
exactly,
you can like something. It doesn't need to be your business. Right. You can have several businesses. And again, you don't even, if you have 9 kids, if you have no feet and no hands, you can still use your nose to press that button in the app, send some Venmo money to somebody with business and invest in the business so you can share some of that comfort. You can be very creative right now. And I don't mean that to incite fear. I want to incite action, And people, go ahead,
I want to pivot a little bit because I just want to be mindful of time. It's 2:32 right now, and I want to give enough time.
Where you going, Mike? Mikey, where you going?
Hold on.
I gotta get off at 3. I have another client. I have a client at 3.
Sorry, Mary.
I got to play charades with my family. I got to have a family meeting, man. We in here doing a home bar right now. So, I want to be in one of the what is this? Ashley. Andrea, my business, Cask Rum Beverages, bottled Belizean style rum cocktails.
Love Belize.
They're good. I order every week.
Ashley, Tax Mobile, tax prep and financial services. Ashley, financial education services, credit repair, agent, kids prep tutoring. See, this is the thing right here. For us that hustled, that came up in wherever we grew up, you had to hustle. Everybody should know what you do. People get mad at me because I post every day about Mastermind Connect. You think I want to post every day about Mastermind Connect?
Mike,
I want to post about selection stuff sometimes.
Does people start with D or C, dollars or customer?
That's right.
People, I don't care about people. I care about dollars and customers.
Yeah, and listen, and then I flex about my body of work that makes me relevant to what I do. And this is what people have to get past. We have to get past this high school lunchroom mentality. Oh, I don't like him. He's not cool today. I don't give a shit. Guess what? My kids are eating. I don't like half my family, but you know what? I still do business with them. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
It doesn't matter.
One of my cousins has the largest security businesses in Maryland, and I'll send business to him. The thing is, this pride stuff, this little, we got to get past our inferiority complexes.
Word.
Got to get past this crabs in a barrel mentality. We got to get past that. When I see Jay winning, Charlie winning, Mary winning, Lisa Velasquez, how are you, my dear, winning, that means that I have the potential to win too.
Everybody wins, man.
And what I want to do right now, Ainsworth, hold up, Ains is on here?
Yeah.
From DC? What's up, Ainsworth? What's good? See, this is the daddy network right here. This is daddy gang. We all in here. So what I want to do right now is I want to open up this to the conversation to questions. And Manny, you are on the controls. I want to know who has a question. And let's open it up. No, yeah.
Hey, Mike.
What's up, Manny?
Mike, you looking real cozy over there, Mike. Mike, you look quarantined, bro.
Yeah.
I'm in my home office. I got the crystals behind me, brother. I'm G'd up from the feet up.
Mastermind looking
right
real
here
cozy.
by my side.
real cozy today. I just want to say real quick, guys, that I received a text from Will Davis, one of our members, Mastermind Connect, and he's in the actual chat room. And I was cracking up here because what he said was very true. And I want to share it with you guys, the panelists and everybody in the room. He said, yo, if you all had charged $500 for this Zoom meeting, it would have been cheap. This is liquid gold, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can't afford to pay Charlie and
well, it's called drug dealing. What's your friend's name? Mastermind Connect. What's your friend's name?
That's Will Davis.
Will
Will's
Davis.
in the chat.
I'm giving you for free the first time, baby. Next time, you know, you come
Next
around
time
the
you gotta
block,
pay.
you gotta pay, baby. It's called drug
Blue
dealers.
magic.
Got that blue
Yeah,
magic.
it's blue magic. You know.
I
I mean,
unmuted.
the community got to share, bro. We got to share, man. You know, we got to share what we
Can
got.
you manage the questions that people may have?
I am. I just unmuted Will because I just want him to share real quick. He's an entrepreneur himself. Will Davis, actually, amongst other things, he started a business called Dapper Tours, right? And his business depends mostly of tourists, right? They do tours, you know, in Manhattan, downtown Brooklyn, in motorcycles, you know, sidecar motorcycles. So he also, within that business, he has provided employment for refugees, right? So Will is a fantastic guy, and right now he's adjusting, adapting, pivoting here to whatever he needs to do to continue to succeed and support others. So Will, if you want to share real quick.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me, by the way?
It sounds
Yes.
great.
Okay, great. First off, I want to just say thank you guys, Charlie, Mike, Jay, Mary, Manny. Like I really meant it. This is liquid gold. I think the biggest thing people are suffering from right now is they're afraid because they have no clue what to do. And to have all these minds in here, this is really the definition of Mastermind Connect. Because just even in the past few minutes, just my brain is just working over much. I'll say something. The reason why I was smiling, Jay, is because the past 2 weeks, I've been sitting watching while everybody is sitting panicking. You're so right. Chaos, there's a Chinese word for chaos. It means danger and opportunity. And I've always known that. So I sat and I just watched the whole thing happening, and I started looking, where are the needs that people are not meeting? What do I have to go ahead and to provide to the market to meet those needs? So I have 4 motorcycles with sidecars sitting outside of my place right now that are very easy to go ahead and to disinfect, to get it nice and clean. It's 1 passenger in the sidecar, 1 passenger on the back. And I started looking and I said, why can't you take the desire, because I wanted to help. Why can't you take the desire to help, but also make money at the same time? And what I came up with is essentially, right now as you speak, I'm getting an app design, an Uber type app that's being designed, is going to be finished by the end of the week. But doctors, the essential personnel that are needed to go ahead and to keep us alive, doctors, nurses, all these people, they don't want to take the train right now. They don't want to actually take a Uber right now. They want somebody that actually is going to be responsible for their health the same way. And on the bikes, we're going to provide masks. We're going to provide gloves for the drivers, as well as for the for the passengers as well too. And after every ride, wipe it down to make sure that everything is disinfected. Basically, a quality control system. And there's also older folks that, or people just sick, that need deliveries. They need stuff delivered, medicine. They need food deliveries, right? Like all those things are there right now to be done. And yeah, you have Instacart doing it, but Instacart, it's like you said, Jay, they're doing the basic, they're meeting the need, but they're not exceeding the need when it comes to quality control.
Exactly.
So in my head, that's the way I decided to go ahead and to maximize the situation for my benefit, but also to help people and employ other people as well.
And if I can add to you, Will, sometimes most ideas are like how we come into the world, bloody, screaming, and kicking. You know, they come in, it's a mess. But you want to get to the next idea, and then so you get to the next idea, and you keep, you know, you're gonna fail like 50 times before you sit on something that's gold. And what we call it in our camp, in my Uber life, is we call it iteration cycles. You want to get iteration cycles. You want to get to like idea, market, idea, market, fail, idea, market, fail, idea, market, fail, idea, market, fail. From the failures, you learn information, you implement, and you clean. That cycle is quick now because we have it. So I know a lot of people who are journalists and writers. Right now, share stories, share information, share credible news, get involved. So you have to just bring yourself to the crises and work and help the problem. So, Will, congratulations.
But to become a media platform, I just want to interject because a lot of media platforms and agencies are going to announce layoffs in April.
Yes.
You have to become your own direct source, and you have to become your own writer. You have to find a way to make sure people are paying you for that content.
Thank you, Mary.
You can launch a Patreon. You can launch something that's via Hopin. You can be able to create your own privatized go-to meetings or Zoom calls. I know go-to and Zoom are now merging together to allow similar features, but if you think that you're going to be able to get a job as a freelance writer right now, I have a list of over 90 companies that are frozen all freelance anything for U.S. media.
And look,
I just want to put that out there before people start trying to apply for stuff. Those budgets are frozen.
And Mary, Mary, if you're gonna die trying. That's my attitude. So start your own thing. Like, this is a great, everyone in America, because this is, before it's a democracy, before it's a nation, before there's a flag that unites us all, it's a capitalistic country. So a lot of the benefits of America is in ownership, you know, and if this is one of the few countries in the world where you can right now legally start a business tonight, you know, and so I would say everyone should get their mindset and use the opportunity to start something, you know, and don't be afraid to fail. Like, I could sit down here and Will can, you know, but Will's a further on. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's been in business for a while, so he's probably pivoting. But for those of you that's starting, I would say, man, you trust your intuition and the demand and need and meet it. You know, like, start and hit up Mary. Hit up Charlie, hit up someone in this group, hit up Mastermind Connect. They're a great resource. Mike, you know, my mother and I said the other day, I said, when you've been ready, you don't have to get ready. And, you know, Mastermind Connect is exactly placed for success because this is your business. Like, you don't need to have a physical place anymore. You have a bunch of people in this room. It's Sunday. And guess what? In this crisis, every day is Monday until further notice, you know, and you know, these kind of chats is an economy. If everyone here drop down what their business idea and business is, or everyone here say, you know what, I want to join and help someone, this problem will be solved a lot quicker. The number is that 99% of all businesses in America are small businesses, okay? 67% of the GDP is created by small businesses. So if you're a part of America, you want to have a small business. That's part of being American. It's part of existing in this country. It's to think about your idea beyond. Now, you could be an artist, could be a painter, and one of my partners, Winston Peters, always say the difference between the you know, an artwork and the art business. You know, the difference between you liking to shoot video and a video business. The difference between you being a community leader and having a community business. You know, so it's just something. It's just taking your mind a little bit further into how can, and again, I'm based upon our business definition. I won't say again the whole time, but taking your idea and saying, okay, does it pass this criteria where I can make a profit? And if it doesn't, go back to the drawing board. Don't be discouraged. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Reach out to someone that you know and clean it up and execute. This is the time. You know, so just wanted to share that with you guys. Will, congratulations of not being lazy or being panicked, bro. You know, you got to move.
Thank you so much, Jay. Thank you so much. I'm going to add Liz Velasquez, our friend, good friend Liz, I'm going to mute Liz real quick. Liz, if you'd like to ask your question or if you have any
yeah, sure,
feedback.
I'll ask it. No problem. My question is for Mary and Charlie. Let me go back up because it's kind of a long question. Okay, so just so you know about me, I'm Lisa Velasquez. I'm the founder of Lisa Talks Love, where I help passionate women get ready for the love they desire. I've pivoted that to only virtual services and digital courses that people can do on their own. And I'm also the founder of Latina Entrepreneurs, where Latina CEOs and founders connect, and I help them scale profitable businesses to thrive. So that's a community that's a membership-based community. And we have a virtual networking event coming up that I charge for because their Zoom costs money, all these things cost money, and it's important to think about, you know, your costs that incur. So as I make money, I want to think about where else to invest it. So I would like to ask Mary, where can we get started with cannabis investing from the ground up? And same one for Charlie, but also Charlie, how to get started in real estate investing from the grounds up. Just like some of what you could share. I know you can't share everything, but a way to get started that's the most effective and strategic for you to get the knowledge, to have the best information you can to get started.
So I think because your network has value and my network has value, we can do a barter conversation, which will be separate from this, because that's a large point to bring up. So if you want to contact me separately, we can set up our own private call and create a barter relationship so that I can tap into your network and you can tap into mine. I have a email list of over 14,000 people. A lot of women that are, my list is New York and California. We are doing a lot more expansion into Spanish speaking markets. We have two members, two of our collective, one is Panamanian, one is Puerto Rican. So let's chat further and then I can give you 60 minutes of dedicated strategy for that, because it wouldn't be able to be covered on this call, and I do charge for that. So me and you can barter for sure.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
I think Liz wanted, I think you
It's
mentioned
Lisa.
something about real
It's
estate.
Lisa.
I apologize,
It's not your.
Lisa. Okay. So you mentioned something about real estate, right? And
Yes.
just to give you just some information, some preliminary stuff that a person should strongly consider when wanting to get into real estate is, how are their personal finances? Do you have a specific income where you would be looked as, viewed as favorable to a bank that's willing to lend you the money, right? Usually, especially in New York City, having an income of 6 figures and up probably, it gets you a reasonable, loan, qualification by a reputable bank, right? Obviously, credit as well. They look into, whether you have good credit or not. They look into like your debt and income ratio, whether there's certain cards that safeguard you from that. For example, I have an American Express card. Whatever balance you have there, it's not shared to the mortgage company, so that it can be considered debt income ratio. So also understanding what cards you would want to have, so, and then moving on from that, if, you have to ask yourself whether you want to go into it for the purposes of living at, in the residence. If that is something that you want to do, there's a FHA, first time home buyer, where you can put in a pretty, a small percentage, I forget what it is now, but it's a smaller percentage for a down payment, and you're able to, purchase something under the first time home buyer. That is very competitive, because at the end of the day, the person that's actually selling the property is still looking for that buyer that has all cash. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't guarantee you anything.
I want to
especially now.
If I can add also, if you can't invest in physical real estate, there's something called REITs, REITs, that you can invest in as well. And REITs is real estate trust, and they trade on the stock market as stocks. It's a deeper conversation. Again, like Mary, you could talk to me on the side on that. But I'll give you some magic, because I love to share magic, because I believe in abundance.
Thank you, Jay.
Something called a reality is going to happen now. Right now, we're all on computers. So how computers work is that they all work because of servers. Servers have to go on physical land.
Yeah.
So the next big real estate investment in the world will be servers.
That's right.
So REITs are the ones that are going to fund the servers and farmland. So we can talk about that. That's going to be another growing sector of real estate. So you don't have to actually own physical real estate. You can own REITs.
I've invested in REITs for farming, agriculture, and cannabis. I've invested in REITs in terms of agriculture and land and cannabis in South Africa, Croatia, and hopefully soon in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, REITs, called REITs. And you can, look, you can, everything's taking a hit right now. That's the point. The market is 30% contracting, or is it? It's another question, So the point is, investing, again, is tricky. Not everyone is in that space to do that, but if you're asking the question, look at that.
So guys, I got to jump in because we have 10 minutes left, because this is a scheduled Zoom and it's just going to cut off. I want to thank all of you guys, and I think we're going to have to part two this in some way. I want to plug Mary and her services and what she offers. And really quickly, Mary, where can they reach you?
I can be reached on the cannabis side. You can book a consultation with us at canaclusive.com consultations. I put that in the copy.
Yeah.
For the herbalism side, I do charge for that. I do offer, I actually have a call with someone who's on the Zoom to talk about what they need for their family. I do charge for that, but not a lot, but I do charge because I have to take in like all of your health challenges, use my certified certificate brain to understand that so that you're not cross-pollinating or hurting yourself in what you try. I'm not just putting out YouTube content and telling you to drink sea moss all day. Not everybody's supposed to be doing that. So there's a real talk behind that. So there's that. I can be contacted for health consultations on that. And Mike, you can share that information. I shared that with you. As for business consultation, that's to turning what you do into a recession stable business. If you had a physical business, you need to be online. My business manager, Mike, can share that information with y'all. You have to reach out to her. We are in the process of doing that right now within the fitness, wellness, meditation, and now, believe it or not, dispensary space in Canada. So we take that very seriously. That's a real conversation. My business manager is Arlene Peterson. Some of you know her, but she is the person that you will have to go through for that. We're creating another system because right now my time is also being divided between self-coding and creating a job hiring platform called 1-800-Agency. We just launched our online content last week. I am a coder at heart. I've been coding since I was 8. So now we are launching our own job hiring platform.
You good, Mary, you good.
Yeah, so now that I'm focusing on that, I'm doing everything I can to stop people from reaching out to me directly. I want to be like here. I know folks that are still hiring. I know everybody's like, no one's hiring. That's not true. They are hiring in certain industries. So that will be coming up with a larger launch very soon. My partner in that is going through some health challenges, but 1-800-Agency, you can start following us on Instagram.
And like I said, we have about 7 minutes left. So let's try to keep it down to 60 seconds because we're going to bring in co-founder JD to talk about Alchemy. Charlie, can you plug where they can find you, man?
Sure. My email is charlie@cvargaslaw.com. Also Instagram, Charlie Vargas ESQ. And my, you know what? I give my work mobile phone because, you know, people get arrested at all hours of the day. So it's 917-572-2982.
All right, and drop it in the chat if you can. Thank you so much, Charlie. Very resourceful dude. Please drop your stuff in the chat, panelists. Also, Jey Van-Sharp, can you really quickly, 60 seconds?
If you like money, holler at me.
drop it in the chat. All right. Thank you, Jey Van-Sharp. You're a longtime friend of mine. Mary, longtime friend of mine. Charlie, I met you on a rooftop years ago on July 4th. You and Jason Rosario, you've been a solid brother ever since. All right.
You still have those bright pants?
I still have those bright pants. We're going to break those out probably in another 3 years. I want to go to JD Weatherspoon, co-founder of Mastermind Connect, just to talk about a little bit about our new platform, Alchemy by Mastermind Connect.
Hey, peace and love, everybody.
Peace and love.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. So in times like these, we actually decided last year we wanted to create a virtual platform because we wanted people everywhere outside of the 4 cities we have live groups in to be able to tap into like resources just like the ones that we've created right now. And so for Mastermind Connect, our demographic is men. Ladies, if you know any brothers who you know for a fact could benefit from the information like you've heard today, send them to www.mastermindconnect. That's MASTERMIND connect.com. You can sign up for our Alchemy profile. As we mentioned, this D ain't free. It is a paid service, but that is because we offer equal value. We give you tools on optimizing your business, getting and staying fit, eating right, love, sex, relationships, spiritual and physical wellness. It is a plethora of lifestyle activities, as well as just being able to give you an opportunity to plug into a community of real people. Once again, that's mastermindconnect.com, and you will see us drop that Alchemy platform on April 2nd, so look out for it.
Yeah, man, and I just want to say, I'm going to be donating the proceeds from one of my online businesses. I'm going to be spending $100 today. So if you have an online business and you have a product, I am going to buy that rum that woman dropped, because we love rum. I'm going to be spending a little bit of money with you. You know, I got a lot of kids, so, you know, I can't spend too much money with you. All right. But we need to stimulate the economy. Yeah. So I want to let all you guys know, look, I know you're pulling back on money, but in this last even 2 weeks, me, Jay, Manny, we've spent a lot of money with independent people. We need to stimulate the economy. So cheap is one thing, frugal is another.
Pay for value. Always pay for value.
Exactly. I want to say thank you to all of you. We had a really good attendance on this one. Me, Jay, and Manny are going to powwow and figure out how to probably try to do this once a month.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is something, we're on to something right now. I have nothing but respect for all these panelists that are on here. I wish we could talk to everybody, but once again, Alchemy by Mastermind Connect, it's up already to our Mastermind Connect members that exist already. They're all over the country. There's almost about 100 members in there talking, sharing resources. We are hiring one of our Mastermind Connect members to write our press release for us. So there's a lot of interconnectedness in the community. If you know a man that could use this, we are launching a 3-month revitalization and accountability program, because men, y'all gotta stay focused. Y'all gotta stay focused. We have spent so much time on this, and we're launching it April 2nd. We're gonna get it in. So thank you guys again. I'm about to go play charades with my kids, and I wish you guys health and wellness. Andre, the next one, we're gonna have you on to talk about your symptoms and everything that you're dealing with COVID, because this is going to end literally in 3 minutes. Love you, and please take care of yourself.
Mike, real quick, I just want to say thank you to everyone. This is all about community. And although we have in Mastermind Connect a community of men who are looking to level up and better themselves, and, you know, we share about all this type of information, you've seen that we have always come up with events that are open to community, whether it's supporting the youth, mentoring, or simply doing things with, like Omar Davis here, that has to do with you know, mental health, because it's extremely important that we don't insulate ourselves, right? We want to, yes, have a private community where we can grow, and people right now can actually go to mastermindconnect.com and learn about it, but also we open it, we do things because we want to be better for ourselves, our families, and community at large. So thank you guys for joining us. This was very important, and we'll do more of this.
Don't panic, guys. Just learn the skills.
Man, you know, tap into your ancestors, man. Tap into your ancestors tonight. Meditate, ask the ancestors. They have all of the answers.
Difficulty is what wakes up the genius. Difficulty is what wakes up the genius.
That's right.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Peace and love, everybody.
Peace.
Good.